So we recently got the reveal of Season 10 of Diablo 4, and with Season 10, there was a pretty big new system coming that I don't think a lot of people were expecting, and I think is one of the coolest systems being added into the game. Now, there's a handful of reasons I want to go over this specifically, but one of the big reasons I want to go over this new system, which is called Chaos Armor, is because this is not currently a permanent addition to the game. This has been confirmed that it is a season-specific system, but I think this system is so cool and such a needed addition to the game that I very much hope this is turned into a permanent new system being added into the game. And that's one of the main reasons I want to go over this in its own video, because I hope the developers add this as a permanent addition to the game. Without having played with this system yet, I can already tell you this will be a massive positive addition to the game. Now, like mentioned, this new system is called Chaos Armor, and these are essentially different versions of unique items that have multiple different, very unique factors. So they go on to describe this as Chaos Armor is a more powerful version of existing unique items that come with a diabolical twist. Chaos Armor are unique items that appear as more powerful counterparts for other item slots, leading to entirely different new ways of dispensing carnage. Chaos Armor can appear for the following item slots: helm, chest, gloves, pants, and boots. And Chaos Armor will only appear as an item fit for anything other than its original slot. For example, Flicker Step won't have a Chaos Armor version in the boot slot. Chaos unique powers are also more potent than their normal counterpart, always appear in max power, and have at least one greater affix. And you won't be able to equip the same unique item between Chaos and standard versions. So there's a lot there, and it can be kind of confusing. So essentially, these Chaos items are taking a unique item, like for instance, the Banished Lord's Talisman, taking all of their stat rolls, taking their unique power, and putting it on a different gear slot. So the Banished Lord's Talisman is usually a unique necklace, but getting it as a Chaos version, it could be on gloves instead. It would still have all the exact same rolls as affixes, but it would also still have its unique power, and its unique power would actually have a stronger roll than normal. So its unique power is essentially a greater affix now. I don't think it's going to be as strong as if it was like a greater affix, but it's stronger than normal. Its unique power, always a max roll, and the item is always an ancestral item. So it always has at least one greater affix roll on it. So it's a juiced up version of normal uniques, but it's a different slot than the normal uniques. And while it says these can come as helms, chests, gloves, pants, and boots, the unique powers can come from any other slot. So there could be a power that normally comes on a two-handed weapon, and that could now be on like a helm slot. So there is a ridiculous amount of new combinations and builds that are going to be possible specifically because of these Chaos uniques. And the amount of unique powers that can now be rolled as other item slots is absolutely ridiculous. I think it's a majority of the uniques in the game, and that includes general uniques and uniques for all of the different classes. I mainly play the Druid, so some of the really crazy ones are the Great Staff of the Crone, which is absolutely ridiculous. I think Stormclaw Druid builds in Season 10 are going to be godly, because that power is so crazy, but you could get that on some other slot. Like you get that on boots or something and just have a two-handed weapon with a legendary aspect on it instead that gives you some other massive power. And another really crazy one is Rotting Lightbringer, which is the Pulverize unique, new to Season 9, which made the Pulverized Druid one of the best builds in the game and by far the best Druid build. So you can take that power that's normally only on a two-handed weapon and put it on like a chest piece or on boots or on legs or something like that, and instead get another power on your two-handed weapon, which specifically for like a Pulverized Druid is absolutely ridiculous. And again, there's a ridiculous amount of uniques for all classes and general uniques. So the amount of crazy combinations you're going to be able to get by taking these powers and putting them on a different slot is ridiculous. But also keep in mind, the powers on the Chaos uniques are going to be stronger than normal, and they're always max rolled. So there's not only going to be crazy new combinations, but all of the chaos uniques you're using are also just going to be significantly stronger than they could be normally. And if you're into the nitty-gritty of build creation in Diablo 4, you can very easily start to see why this is going to be so incredibly strong. Just with this new Chaos Armor system, the builds in Season 10 are going to be absolutely crazy. Now, as mentioned, we know this is only season-specific, only going to be with Season 10, but I very much hope that this is brought forward. Now, I don't think these Chaos Armor should be brought forward in the exact same way they're being given to us in Season 10. In my opinion, if they were to bring Chaos Armor forward, which I hope they do, they should, for one, remove the buff to the unique power on these items. So that's only if they would be a permanent part to the game. I don't think we should have them having a buffed up version of unique powers. That already doesn't make sense because they're already stronger than normal, or potentially stronger than normal, because they can be on another slot that may be much more valuable. And as a second factor, maybe they shouldn't be guaranteed ancestral. I'm not sure on that one. It really depends on how common they are, how easily you can target farm them, because if they're much more rare, then they probably should be guaranteed ancestral. If you can farm them more easily, then I think it would be fine if they're not guaranteed ancestral. In my opinion, the best outcome for these as a permanent addition to the game is they don't have the buff unique effect. They're always an ancestral item, so they always have one greater affix on them, but they're a bit more rare. In fact, quite a bit more rare than normal uniques, but you should be able to in some way target farm them, just not near as easily as you can for normal uniques. And I think just the ability to have unique effects on other item slots just massively increases the build potential for Diablo 4. And while it doesn't fix core itemization to the game, it is actually a massive help to the itemization of the game in general. Because even though it doesn't add like new slots or something, just the ability to essentially take the unique effect from one of your uniques and put it on a different slot just increases the build potential by a massive margin. Especially when it comes to taking the unique effects from specifically weapons and putting them in a different slot, so you can say use a legendary two-hander and not only get a two-handed aspect, which obviously will have double the power, but also get the really strong temperings that can only come on weapons. Because specifically with something like the Rotted Lightbringer for Pulverized Druids, that already has the affix of Pulverize has a chance to deal double damage, but you can also get that on a weapon normally. So if you could put that on a different slot, then also get the tempering on your legendary weapon, that could be absolutely ridiculous and open up some new possibilities for just massive power gains. So this system is legitimately one of the most interesting systems we've ever gotten in Diablo 4, and I very much hope they bring this forward after Season 10 is over. And something I'm also very curious on is if they're going to have a different unique color or different unique animation. In the article that's revealing Season 10, they just put a green glow around the unique item. They also made the buffed up unique effect a green number as well. So say the unique effect gives you some increase of damage, it's now going to be green, indicating that it's a chaos item. And I do think if they bring this forward, it would be so cool to have just a new color to this, or at least a different glow on the outside actually in game with maybe a different beam on it. Like maybe it could be the normal unique beam but have like a green swirl around it or something. Because that's something I didn't even really touch on, is that while these chaos items are just a really cool addition to the game for build crafting, they can also be a really cool addition for actually having really cool chase items. Because even just adding that different cool beam with maybe a different sound when they drop just gives you that hit of dopamine that I think is kind of missing in Diablo 4 still, and I think this would go a long way to adding that into the game permanently. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.